So we'll be starting 8:05. So yeah, just to allow more people to join here. Okay, here I think we can start now. And so, welcome to the second session, which is the last introduction lesson to the business analysis course. So, yeah, and I hope most of you or all of you have tried to watch the previous videos on the Blue Sky Saturday YouTube, as advised last week. So if you have any problem with that, you can just let us know, then we'll be able to help you with. But I think once you just Google that, or maybe just search that on YouTube, you should be able to find it. Yeah. Okay. Yes, so just a recap based on what we discussed last week. Yeah, so we're just going to do just to refresh our memory on what we discussed last week. So I'll just just few questions. So, and I will want you to put your responses on the chat box, so at least so that I can read that. So if you could answer this, like the first question, I think we have about 5 questions here. So if you could just answer these questions. So what does Moscow stand for in business analysis? We discussed that last week. So I'm expecting responses from you. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so Must, go, yes. Must, should, could, and won't. Yes, that's correct. And these are the priorities that you use for, if they say what is the priority of the requirement, so they are referring to this must go. So the priority of your requirements could be must, it could be should, it could be could, and it could be the want, which is not usually common, but at least you still need to know it. And so, yeah, so when they are referring to priority, so they are referring to the Moscow. So they are referring to the, the priority of the requirement. If they say priority of the requirement, what's the priority of the requirement? Then you can say maybe should have, or maybe must is a must, is should, is could, you can just use that. So that's that. So well done, everyone. And the list 3 investigation techniques that you can use to elicit your requirements. We discussed this briefly last week as well. 3, so I just want you to list 3. Yeah, 3 investigation techniques you can use to elicit requirements from your stakeholders. I've only seen response from one person, Ayo. Come on, everyone. I've only seen one response from one person. Yeah, research, interview, workshop, questionnaire, shadowing, scenario analysis. Yeah, so you have various. So the face-to-face one, definitely you're interviewing face-to-face, but you don't call it face-to-face. Is either you use interviewing or workshop, and the brainstorming is also part of the, so face-to-face is not the investigation technique. So, but yeah, so workshop, your questionnaire, yeah, brainstorming, shadowing, yeah. Okay, well done. And okay, so list 3 examples of non-functional requirements. So I mentioned that last week as well. What are your, so just give 3 of non-functional requirements. So remember, we have functional requirements and we have non-functional requirements that your stakeholder could request for. Yeah, reliability, availability, yes, correct. Yeah, the security, the performance, yes, correct. Scalability, yes. Usability. And the, yeah, so yeah. So yeah, well done, everyone. So mention a word that can be used to replace the current in process modeling. Yeah. Yeah, as is. Yeah, as is. Yeah. So, and how about the future one? Okay. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So well done, everyone. So I'm glad that at least what we discussed last week, you still remember it. Yeah. So question 6. So you could just write the alphabet. Which of these requirements are correct? So when you're writing your response, I want you, so if it's 3, you just write it same time. So definitely, so if everything is correct, just write A, B, C, D in the one response. I've not seen correct. Okay. Definitely. Okay, I'm still expecting responses. So which of these requirements are correct? Like a correct way of writing your requirements? Because I know some of these requirements are not right, or maybe it's not the way you're supposed to write it. So because last week we discussed about what your requirements needs to, how you need to write a requirement. Hmm. Oh, well, yeah, it seems. I think a lot of people are getting this wrong. So, okay, so I would just respond to this. So, remember your requirements needs to have the priority of your requirements, because if you just write the first one, you say the HR system needs to auto-generate employee number each time a new starter is added to it. So, but how will the supplier know the priority of this? You're just saying you need it. So the priority is not there. So it should have whether must, should, or could, or won't, or nice to have, all those, the must code that we just discussed just few minutes ago. At least the priority, your requirements must have the priority. So because you can't really, write a requirement like this. So yeah, so A is not correct. So the system should allow user to reset password using a forgotten password feature. So we are saying we need a reset, the using, this option to use forgotten password so that you can do the self service. So it has should. So Moscow, the S in the Moscow, so the should. So we have that. So the B is correct. An administrator require feature to create new starter. So it doesn't have any priority. So we don't have, there's no must, there's no should, there's no could. So that's not a good way of writing requirements. And the HR manager must be able to generate reports. So it has must, it has the M, so which is, it has a priority because your requirements must have a priority. So because that's the way you should be writing your requirements. So if you write a requirements for me and I could not, sorry. So if you write a requirement and I could not see, the priority, then yeah. So yeah, so B and D are correct way of writing your requirements. So B and D, yeah. Okay. And so today we'll be talking about the business process. So when you are talking about the business process, so we are talking about how a process is being carried out, because each in different organization, they will have, the process of carrying out a particular activity or maybe a particular task. For example, if they're saying to register a new starter in an organization, definitely that's a business process. That's a process, for maybe the HR team to actually register a new starter. Or maybe if you want to recruitment process, you can say the recruitment process. You can say leavers process is still part of it. Let's say application process, all those things that, like whatever they do there, so they will have a process. Even like boiling rice is a process, definitely, so definitely the business. So when we are not referring to, trying to, link it to how the business, what the business is doing. For example, if the business is saying, oh, they want, you should map a process, the business process, they want to understand the business process of how they register a new starter, or how they, when they recruit. So how did they get that person on board? the onboarding process. So you may have a process. They may say when the interview is being completed and the line manager confirmed the candidate that they want to employ, then maybe the line manager will send an email, so we could say that's the onboarding process. So send an email to the HR team to say, could you please contact this is the person that I've selected for this role. And the HR will now start, begin their process. Maybe they need to, send offer letter by email or by post, to the candidates. And yeah, so from there, so maybe the person needs to confirm maybe within 3 days. And once they receive that response, maybe they will now create a new, maybe they will pass the information to the IT team to start, creating a user profile for the person on the system and getting the person, maybe a laptop or a computer ready for the person, all those things like that. So it's a business, is a process. So, and like when you are assigned to a project, most times you need to understand how the process is being worked. For example, if you have a new HR, you want to get a new HR system. So definitely you need to document your, the current process, which is the assist and the to be. Definitely they would have told you that this is how they actually want the process to work. Maybe they want, for example, maybe before they usually post a letter to the candidate, to the successful candidates, and then maybe they will send an email to the IT team as well. So, but in the new HR system, they may say they just want, because once the candidates actually apply for the job, the person would have registered on their, HR system, maybe whatever the system that the recruiting system, down the link, to the HR as well. And they may say what they would do is that once they can just, generate offer letter on the system and just send a link to the person's email without even calling them, you understand? Or they may even call them to say, oh, we've offered you the letter, you can check your email. So from the email, the person may now see that, oh, they need to accept it, click accept or agree. Then that will, everything, they may want to automate and everything. So, that's sort of like, you could see now that there's a change in that process. Instead of them posting it through postal service, definitely they're not doing it, or they're automating everything. They're doing everything online. So that's that's something that has changed. So you need to map this process, how this thing needs to be, presented in a visual way. And sometimes also, when you map a process, it helps the supplier or the technical, whoever that is going to build the system to understand how the process is currently being done, and how they want it, because you could write 60 requirements. You could write, like requirements 1, requirement 60. And or if you even write it in Word to say, oh, the user generates this, the HR administrator prints this. If you write all this in Word, it could be tiring and boring to read sometimes, but once they see the map, the process map, I'll show you later, once that is being, seen, they could now say, okay, they could easily, because it's visual, it's that sort of like a diagram. So it is easy for, people to understand it, easily, you could easily read it to say, okay, from candidates, it goes to, maybe it goes to the HR or recruitment manager, the line manager passes some information to the line manager, so that's the process. It's just show like a sequence of how, that task, all those activities are being carried out. So you'll be able to know what happened from who and to where and when, that's the business process. So it's always good. And you need to learn how to, map a process. When we say map a process, that means, drawing out that process. We'll try one later, or I hope there will be time. We'll try to map a process later. So, so you need to know that. So you need to learn how to, map a process, because as a business analyst, if you don't know how to map a business process, then so like I said last week, it's something you could learn in under 1 hour. And the more you practice, the more you get better in it. Definitely. And the license, like I said, you could get the license easily as well. So once you just install it on your PC, that's it. So you don't have to be renewing the license every time, except if you want a newer version, then you may have to buy that. But I know as at maybe last year or 2 years ago, it was less than £10 per license per PC. So you can get them. So after, why do we model a process? Sometimes it's to understand the problem, to identify the problem, and it could be just to understand how the process is being carried out. Because they may be explaining things to you, you may not really understand, or maybe just give you like user guide. Sometimes, all those user guide or procedural notes. So you see like, okay, they have to click on this system, print it, send it to this team, all those things. But when you map it out in a visual way, it's easier for people to actually, read and to understand easily as well. So that's on the business process. And yeah. So, and we have, let me try and move it. So we have various ways that we can model a business process. There's what we call context diagram. If you have watched the previous videos that I mentioned, I actually showed an example of context diagram. We usually call it level 0. So it's like very high level, that it shows like in and out, like maybe the data flows, from external system and the system that you want to build. So let's say for the recruitment system, so there could be the recruitment system may be linked maybe, to other systems. So it actually shows like, the data flow, the inflow and outflow of, data from that system to other parts of the areas as well. And also the interaction with the people using it as well. So that's the context diagram. We usually call it level 0. So the flowchart diagram. So when you are using a flowchart diagram, you can't actually, differentiate who is doing what. So, but if one person is actually carrying out the whole activities, you can use this flowchart diagram. But if you are actually having like maybe multiple people, multiple teams or multiple, individual or departments, organization, doing, different activities within just a process, then you will need to use a cross-functional flow diagram, because the flow chart is like the top to bottom. You can't really, to just show you that applicants apply for job, applicant submits the job, is being processed. You can even say just process the application, maybe select, schedule, interview, select interview time. You can't really know who is doing what, because you will not be able to write applicant is doing this or recruitment manager is doing this. No, you will just say print, schedule, attend interview, all those things. So you can't really say, who is doing what. You understand? So when you have multiple, then it's best to use cross-functional. So which I'm going to show you that later as well. And the BPMN symbol is business process modeling notation symbols. So we have that in our visual as well. So all these diagram, you have a template for it. So whenever you are maybe working on a project, all you just need to is just to open up your Visio, then start mapping the process. So, but like I said, in the previous videos, you'll be able to see, details of all these diagrams in the previous session that we've had. So, okay. And when you are writing, your requirement, remember last week I mentioned that you need to, it's always good, to write, to back it up with your user stories as well. Because when you write, although it may not be, like if you have, let's say 60 requirements, definitely I will not advise that you should actually write 60 user stories. No, that's not what I'm saying. But, when you write your user stories, it helps the supplier or whoever the developer to understand, the requirements. It gives them more information to actually know what you're trying to do. Because if I'm saying that the administrator must be able to maybe generate a report, you understand, to generate a report, or maybe to be able to record date new starter on the system. So the developer needs to understand who is doing what, or you could even say, oh, the system must be able to generate maybe must be able to allow user to generate. But I need to know, who will be actually doing that particular task, because when the developer actually understand, who is doing what, then it will help them to understand how to configure it better. And sometimes it just gives them additional information, about what you've requested. So, and this is the format for the user story. When you want to write your user story, this is the format you say as a role. So it's like you can say as a bank manager, or maybe as HR manager, or as an administrator, or as a student, or as a teacher. It could be anything, as a client, depending on your requirements, then what exactly, you want to do, the action that you want to carry out on the system. So I can say, as an online or maybe online banking user. I want to be able to log into my account, so that I can see my transaction details. What exactly, because this one is actually the action that you're going to carry out on the system. Then the reason why you are doing it, what you expected, so that when the developer is now coding, they'll be able to know that once a user is doing this type of user is doing this particular, maybe online user, they should be able to log into their account. So they need to find a way, maybe they need to use some authentication, whatever they need to code to make sure people are able to log in. And when they log in as well, they should be able to carry out this outcome. It should be able to get this result. So that means if I'm able to log into my account, it should have my transaction details, I should be able to access my maybe statements. So likewise, you could say as a recruitment manager, I want to be able to, schedule interview dates, so that applicants can, select or choose, or maybe select, the interview dates that they want to attend, things like that. So that means it will back up my requirement based on that. Oh, we need the system to be able to, recruitment system to be able to help us to be able to, that functionality of, scheduling interview dates, because there are some you have system that can do that, instead of, calling them one by one and saying, oh, tell me the date that you're available. So that is the format. So you just make sure once you know what, the format of writing user story, then you can just use it. So, and it's still the same thing as who exactly want to use the system, what exactly you want to do on the system, and why you want to do it. So then if you have stated this, then the developer will use it to ensure that you are able to carry out, when you carry out these tasks, you'll be able to get this result. And because also, sometimes as well, you have different roles, like it's possible that some user may have, maybe admin rights. So, things like that, if you have something like that as well, you could do this, saying only admin should be able to do this. Maybe user will be able to, maybe administrator will be able to have certain level of rights or permission, and maybe the managers will be able to. So all you can use the user on these user stories as well to actually back up all those requirements, to explain in detail how you want that to work. And also, I know some people may tell you, oh, there's also a Gekin language, which is different as well, although that is actually common when you are doing sort of like a digital project, and is actually good for user story. I mean, for acceptance criteria. So, but like the basic user story. This is the basic format of user story that you need to, you need to actually know. Once you know this, then you can learn the maybe the Gherkin language, that you say given when then. When you hear given when then that is then you can learn that. It's easy to learn as well. So that is that user story. So user story is usually associated with the requirements because it gives more information about your requirements. And your user story, you can write it in Microsoft Word, you can write it on Excel, depending on the template that they are using in your organization. So, but you can write it. And also if you have collaboration tools like all these jira, so you can write it in there as well. But at least for the, for the for because when you write this, I always advise you need to make sure your stakeholders review this as well, because they understand, they know what they actually want to do, and they may tell you, oh, add this to this, add this user story to this. They may give you more information. So always ensure that your stakeholder actually review the requirements documents, and because sometimes your templates may have this user story section as well. So once you send it, then the stakeholder will be able to review everything together. So so it's very, very important as well. So you don't just manufacture it on your own and send it. Ensure that your stakeholder has visibility of it to ensure that, oh, they're happy with your user stories as well. And so your acceptance criteria, I think we discussed this as well, that your acceptance criteria is more or less like a checklist, that for you, because when you write your requirements and you send it to, and it's being validated by your by your stakeholder, and you send it off to the supplier or whoever that is going to, if it's in-house developer as well, you send it across to the development team to actually develop it. I know is so whenever they finish the development, you have your tester, they will be the one to test it. And at the same time, because your acceptance criteria is something that you would agree with your stakeholder as well, to say, because they will tell you that this is how they're going to test it. So let's say for requirements 1, so they may tell you that the one that we said, the employee or the system must be able to also generate, the employee number in 6 digits. They may give you some criteria that are going to use to test that. So then that means the tester, the software tester and the developer, they would have make sure they've done their own testing before they can notify you that, oh, it's ready for testing, because that will guide them to know how the stakeholder, what they're going to test, and the expectation as well from their requirements, you understand, from the development, from the product. So the criteria, you would document it, but you can document it in conjunction with your stakeholder, but it has to be reviewed as well with your stakeholder, because it's the stakeholder that knows the criteria. Although you can, from the requirements, you can write some things up, but you need to check it with your stakeholder to ensure that they review it and they're happy with those criteria as well. So that is that on the, so, and when should you document the acceptance criteria? So when you write, because, without the requirements, you can't definitely, document, you can't know the criteria they're going to use to test it, to test those requirements. So you need to write this. Once you write it depends on the plan, the project plan. It's something that you could write once you finish your document or requirements documentation. You could write this as well. Although you will need to write this, document this before they actually finish the development. Although the developer may not request for it, but definitely it's something that they need to know that this is what, because in the previous projects I've worked on, so I will ensure that I send it across to with the requirements documents, so that the developers will be aware of how we are going to test it. And so when you document, so that means it needs to be documented before they even finish the development. You understand? Because it depends. Sometimes they may say, oh, just send the requirements document to us. Then later you can send this. At least they just need to have this before they finish developing the product. So that's the main thing. And and each acceptance criteria that you write, because you're trying to use the criteria to actually test a requirement. So that means you should be able to test it, because there's no point of you writing a criteria that you cannot test. So that means each criteria that you write, so they need to be able to, test it independently. That's when you now have to say, oh, it passed or it fails. So although in the previous I think the session that we had last year, so I shared the example of acceptance criteria, so in an Excel format, so you can actually view that as well. So just to see that, and you see some examples. I think, okay, yeah, is this one? Yeah, but because of time, I'm not going to open it. So it's just a template. Then you'll be able to see the requirements, the user story, the acceptance criteria, and whether it's going to, then they can add another column to the end to say pass or fail. So but you can watch previous videos for that. And so when like, because as a BA, you owns the requirements, because you are the one that actually acting as the middleman or intermediary between the technical team or the supplier and your stakeholders. So because it's more or less like you are the one representing the customer. And when you write the requirements, when you document your requirements, you send it up. And when the developers or the supplier say, oh, this product is ready for testing, you need to actually plan that UAT sessions. Definitely, you may plan it with the supplier. They may tell you, oh, we are available on this day. Then you'll be able to say, okay, I need to check with my stakeholders to ensure that they're available. As at least you check the calendars to ensure all your key stakeholders that need to test it, they are going to be users of the system. Although, excuse me, it's not necessary that it has to be, because if 100 people will be using the system, definitely not 100 people, but there are going to be some key users that you would have, that maybe each stakeholder would have nominated, or maybe that would have been agreed that they will be the one to test it. So at least they will test different parts of the system. So, but you are responsible to organize this session, to plan this session, because then you need to, liaise, saying the whole, now the supplier or the technical team say the product is available to test. I've scheduled, I would like you to attend this session, so that you need to plan the time. It could be, maybe it depends, it could be something that they have to test. They just need to get access or link to that system. They will be able to test on their own. And it could be maybe the supplier or the developer will first do a demo, and they will be asking questions, say, okay, how do you do this, how do you do this? And sometimes it could be you use all those acceptance criteria, what you've documented. Then the developer or the supplier will now do the demo to ensure they've tested, they carry out the activities that you've listed on your acceptance criteria, your criteria. Then they will now say, okay, pass. And doing that, when you are doing that acceptance, user acceptance, because you need to be there as well, because you will be there, you'll be able to record, maybe if all those criteria that you've documented, if all passed, or maybe if some failed, then you'll be able to follow up as well, because you need to ensure that the product is being delivered successfully to your clients, to your customer, who are your stakeholders. So if there's something that is even wrong, maybe during the demo, the developer could not really do it, they could not demo it, then you can follow up to say, okay, when is this going to be done? So then you can follow up maybe after the UAT session. So, but it's just in a nutshell, you just need to make sure you are responsible for that UAT, to ensure that it's the people that need to test it, they're available, or that needs to see maybe the demo, all the things that they are going to need for that UAT session is being, you have all those things available. And also, sometimes they may ask you, depends on the organization, they may ask you to document the test cases. That's if they don't have the, all this QA or tester. So they may ask you to document it, because I've done it in the past. And sometimes they may just ask you to, maybe they would have documented it. You just need to review it, because I could say, because I have experience of or I have the knowledge of how the test case is, then I can see whether the test cases they've written actually is, sufficient to cover all the requirements, to whether it will be sufficient. Because some, like if they are not covering, would they, I don't know, would determine, is it test coverage or what? So, if they are not covering all the, the test cases does not cover, this, all the requirements that you've written down. So definitely there could be a gap. So you can review that, but it's not something that you do all the time. So, but it just depends on the project. So, but it's something that they could ask you to do, because it's something I've done in the past as well. So to ensure that, okay, maybe they have negative testing, all this positive testing, all those things, to ensure that they cover all the scenarios that we have. And also, when you are doing like I said earlier, you facilitate that UAT session. And, and once everything is being tested, maybe you give the users 2 days, to actually do the testing. They will say, oh, we need to go away and test on our own. They will test various things, various parts of the, of the system. Then you have to say, okay, maybe by this day, they need to submit their responses, whether it's passed or it fails, how many passed, how many failed, and if everything. And if everything passed, definitely you just say, oh, could you please provide your sign off to say you are happy with all the things, all the requirements, all the things that have been delivered, and that's your job done on that. So that means you've delivered the product successfully. So you need to see it to the end. Although sometimes they may move you from the project maybe before the UAT, but it all depends on the, on the organization, if they want you to see that through. But when you obtain your sign off, then that means that's when you close, you close that deal. And that is the UAT. And I think I mentioned last, so I think on the terminologies, so this is just a generic, not really, but it's something that you need to be aware of this as well. The life cycle of the, when they're developing a software, you will be the one that comes into, that will be the first, the first phase. When you gather your requirements, that's when, even if they are using Agile or they are using waterfall methodology, they still have to gather the requirements, and before is your requirement that they will now use in doing the designing, and then they can now use that to do the development, before some people will start testing it, the QA will start testing it, and once they feel that, okay, this product is good to roll out, then they will do the deployment, to roll it out, depending whether it's a phase one, whether it's a big bang, whether it's just, whatever they want to, how they want to deploy the solution, then they can do that. Then afterwards, we just be maintenance. So this is just, you just need to have an idea of, the phase and the life cycle of a software development. So be it Agile, be it waterfall, is, yeah, so you just need to understand this. And so as a BA as well, because when you work, you could, because a lot of organizations are using Agile, and you just need to have an idea of what it is. So when we say Scrum ceremonies or events, you have what you call the sprint planning, and maybe the daily Scrum as well, which is the stand-up meeting, the 15 minutes. So as a BA, you participate in this as well, because you are part of the, you are part of the team. And so because you are the one gathering the requirements for the team as well, to say, for the Scrum team to say, okay, these are the things that we want to do in the sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3. So, and at the daily Scrum, you will be there to give updates on what you are doing as well. So, what you did yesterday, what you're going to do today, and maybe if there's any blocker. So these are just the ceremonies, and like I said in the previous videos, you can listen to that. And even the Scrum course, I think on the Blue Sky Saturday as well, you'll be able to get more information on this. But you just need to be familiar with all these, terminologies, daily Scrum or stand up or sprint review. Just know the meaning, just in case if you come across it, then at least you will know what they are referring to. And this, the collaboration too, I think I mentioned that earlier as well. So you have this, it's more or less like a project management tool as well. You use it several organizations use it, and they have different ones, but Jira is very common. Confluence, Azure DevOps is also common as well. So, when you even write your requirements, and the stakeholder, they approve it, because your stakeholder will not come into Jira to review the documents and provide you sign off. So when you document your requirements, your BRD or whatever the documentation you actually provide on this, on the project, on your requirements, when you get you send it to the stakeholder to provide validation on it, to validate it, to provide sign off. So when you have the sign off, then when you want to send it, definitely you can send by email as well, to the team, but that's if you are using the in-house, maybe developer or technical team. So they could have this, and even external, the third party as well, because sometimes they could have a Jira, they can be using the same tool as well. They can have access to it. So all you just need to do to attach the documents, for this Jira, then you start creating, there's a way they create the tickets, which you can also watch as well. I think we have that in the previous videos that we've done in the past. So then your user story, you write your user story in there as well. And because in Jira, there's a way you write each feature, you have to write it out, because each requirement may even be broken down into different tasks. If you say you want, let's say you want a system to auto-generate employee number. The developer, that's a requirement. That requirement may be broken down into, let's say a feature, whatever it's called. It could be broken down into maybe 10 multiple tasks, or, depending. The developer may say, he needs to create maybe a banner first, he needs to create, to do some coding, depending on the, there are some activities that the developer will do. There's what they call maybe, point to hint, but we're not going to go into that. So, with that, then developer, so if for that requirement, then they will write the user story, then the developer can say, okay, this is the work that they're doing. It's just to be able to know what is being done as well. And for everyone to have visibility of, the product, or maybe the work that who is doing what, and what is being done at the moment as well. So, but it's something that you can, I think we have a course on that as well. It's just for you to be familiar with that, because you may find yourself doing that, or maybe using any of these two, in your organization. So you don't need to learn, just know how to maybe, write the details and how to attach maybe the requirements and to assigning as well, but just basic. Like I said, it's something that you can learn each of these, at least basic things, less than 1 hour. You just need to have your login detail, and for Azure DevOps, and I think for Jira as well, you can get some, you can have sort of like you can have like a trial session, something that you can set up yourself on it as well for free on it. I've done it in the past, so which you can use. So just try to, familiarize yourself with all this too as well. And like when the project is being completed, sometimes, not all, but some projects, they may ask you to do benefit realization, and like before a project, they would have written in, like, say, a business case to say, this is what is, we are getting the benefits of this project for the organization. Maybe the turnover is going to be increased by maybe 50% or 20%, maybe for the first year, second year, or maybe months. So the benefit realization is usually carried out after the project, but not immediately after the project. It could be 6 weeks after, it could be a few months after, and it could be, they may say they want to do it after 1 year. It's just to understand if they're actually, the benefits that they expected, if they are realizing it. Sometimes they may say maybe before the process of a recruitment, before they actually have a new system, maybe it used to take them maybe five days, once the line manager confirmed to say, oh, I have a new candidate, or I have I want to apply, or I want to recruit for a role. Maybe that process usually take, let's say 3 weeks. But with the new system, so maybe in the business case, they may have said, oh, it will take them just maybe 7 days or 9 days, that they will save some, maybe about 40% and time. So with that, then they can actually measure. It's just for you to measure, how long is it taking now? How long does it take before? Then you could be able to cost that as well, because they have to do in terms of cost as well, in terms of duration, but that is something that they usually do, like, post project. So, but not immediately after the project, but you have to give some time to ensure, all the system is, embedded, and, you are using it, and you can get, good data to actually carry out this analysis. Then you can now say, oh, maybe the admin team are saving maybe 20%, time, or we are saving about maybe £1,200 now, every week, or maybe, they have to cost it per hour, but there's a way to do that. But it's just for you to understand what is the benefit realization is all about. So that is benefit realization. So let me just check. So yeah, I'll try and open the Visio now, so we can just go into the let me just can you see my screen? Can you see my Visio? Could you please send a message on the chat, please? Okay. Okay, yes, you can see. Thank you. Yeah, okay. So this is Visio, and when like when you want to let's say you want to, so you have, it's just like it's also Microsoft product, and when you click on, why is it not responding? Yeah, okay. So when you click on your file, when you want to, so like all the things I explained here earlier. So this is cross-functional, like if you have multiple people doing the tasks and you want to show it. And this is, like this shape, which is basic flow chart. You can't really say who is doing what, everything is just like top to bottom. And you have different templates, this is for brainstorming. You have different templates. If you click on this, you see different templates that you can use depending on what you are doing. Like some network architecture, they use architects, they use this as well. Solution architects, they use this Visio as well to do their diagram. So you have a lot if you want to do data flow, electrical, plan of a for a building, for a network, and wireframe that we talked last week as well. You have sort of like a template for it as well that you can use. You have different things here anyway. So, but what we want to use today and is just the cross functional. So I'll click on this. So now is so now it's giving me a blank one. So now, because let me just say I want to create this, so you can just click on it. So you could see here you have the vertical, you have the horizontal, with the line, depending on how you want to do it. But I will just click on create. Okay. So yeah. Why is it giving? Okay. Okay. So now, because I like to start on a blank one, like but the template, whatever you're going to use. So here you could see the BPMN symbols that I explained earlier. So if you click on these, it will display all the symbols associated with these BPMN shapes. So you can see the start is round here. I'm going to show you some. So here you could see the data store, like the database, and like message, you can use this for like, for message, like if you sort of like email, you can use the symbol. And so now if I click, you can see the end is like, it has just like black. So, and you could see start events here. This is task. This is decision, but we are going to try some stuff. So if I click on basic flow chart, we discussed about the flow chart. So you can use all these shapes. You can see that the start and the end is different from the BPMN. So depending on the organization that you work on, they may say, oh, we use BPMN notations. If they say BPMN notation, so that means all the things that you're going to use will be your start and end will be, or you're going to choose your shapes from here, and so it's different from when you want to use basic flow charts. You can see the start and end is different. For the BPM notation, you have just run, circle, and the database, you can see the database is different from that data store as well, the one there. But the task, although they call it process here, but they call it task in the BPMN. The decision, they call it gateway in this one. So, but it's still the same thing. You understand? It's still the same thing. You could see start here. And so your data, so you just have different things there as well, like external data you can use to represent if you are getting data from the external or maybe from third party or from somewhere else. And so so once you play around this, so let's say here now we want to say, and you can see now I've ticked, if I untick this, definitely that will disappear. Untick, that will disappear as well, but because I want to use this, I want to take this as well. And you could see if I'm going to take this cross-functional as well because we want to use that. So this is where you have your swim lane. Remember, you can partition that. So now because I want to start, so now I want to, let's say we are just going to do a simple one, a simple diagram. Let me see if I can expand this because I'm just going to increase this. Okay, I think that should be enough. Okay, yeah. So your process needs to have a name. So like now, what you start with this. You could see if you want to do vertical, it will just be like this. And then if you want to do the horizontal, you do that. So, but we are going to, what you just need to do is just to drag. You click on it, it will fix itself. You could see whatever you put first, that's what is going to, it will have that. You could see now, if I click on this now, I will just drag across. See, if I release it, it will stay there. So then you can easily drag it. If I see, you could see now it would join up. No, that's not. Okay. So you can see now it will join up. Yep. So you just need to drag, click on it, drag it across. You just need to make sure it's close to the previous one. I want to add another one, drag it, and make sure it's close to this one. Drop it, and it will auto fit. You understand? So that's how you create your swim lane. So always remember to rename this. You could see function. This function could be maybe different roles, that are using the system. It could be administrator, HR manager, let's say HR director, maybe a candidate or line manager, or it could be depending on the team, and it could be marketing, finance, IT, different, it just means different, people that are actually carrying out the work. So let's say we want to do this, let's say candidates or applicants. So, and you could change, so I think I'm not saying this anyway. Applicants is very tiny. So you could change that as well. You know, you could increase the fonts maybe to 14. Let's say this one. If you click on that, 14 or 16, so that we could see that properly. 16. You know, okay, and you could change the color of the banner. You could make it you know, you could make it anyhow you want. You could be you know, you could select the color depending on how you want it. You know, you can change the color, just do it in a nice way. And so we have applicants. Let's say we have line manager. Let's say line manager. Let's say HR. We can even say HR team. HR team. Let's say IT departments. So you will see that by the time you practice this, you know, you get used to it. I usually remove this page. So these I usually use it to do, like, maybe I can even rename this, that this is, you know, like when you are doing your mapping, process map, you need to, I can say version 0.1. This is my first version, and you could just write v0.1. You could even add dates there, because I always advise, you know, when you are doing your mapping, you know, because when you had the version and the dates, it will help whoever is reviewing it later, or maybe people are referring to it, or maybe you know, when you store it on SharePoint, then they'll be able to know when this was actually mapped, the process was mapped. So then you could easily know that this was the version 0.1. Maybe you have up to version 0.6 before it was actually approved, then it will now turn to version 1.0. You know, once it's been signed off. Because when you map your process, you don't know the process. It's the stakeholder is telling you about, you know, how they carry out this process. When you map it with the information they would have given to you, you still need to send it to them. And you need to remember that not all stakeholders will have the Visio application. So when you are sending it to your stakeholder to review, always include the PDF. Just convert it to PDF, because when you are saving this, you can save it as PDF, then attach it in an email, and they'll be able to see the same thing. Then they can tell you, oh, change the box here, move the box to this side, you know. But I would just say, okay, let's say now that's version 0. They want to say 29. Okay, today is 26, sorry. 2607. 2021. I always do that, you know, try to put, you know, dates and versions so that it will be, you know, just for reference purpose. Then the most important thing is your title. And you could say, we can say recruits, candidates. I'm just summing that up. Let's say we can recruit candidate or recruits, or yeah, so we can just say that, or recruits, or we can even, let me try to look for, so okay, let me say just recruit process. So you need to always make sure you have your process, and remember, we have a C's and we have to be, so that you'll be able to differentiate it. So if I'm mapping my ACs, then I will just put my ACs there, so that, you know, because you could have, and when you are sending this as well to your stakeholder, they will be able to know whether you are talking about the process, the current one, because, and you could even, you know, attach, 2 or 4 different process map, but they need to be able to differentiate it, whether it's the to be process that you are talking about or is the assist. Then when they are reviewing, they'll be able to know, oh, this is the current process. Yes, this is our to be process. So, and for so we finished with this one. So we go back to, we want to use the basic flow charts. So when you are starting, you could use BPM, and depending on what they are using in your organization. So for your process, we always have start and end. When you have start a process, it's not going to be done forever. It will surely end at a point. So always have your start point. Whoever is kicking, starting the process, it could be the line manager. Yeah, let's say the line manager is starting the process. You understand? Like I said, you could use different color, to fill this shape, just make sure it's uniform. You understand? That's what you need to ensure. So let's say we are saying this person is starting. It could be it could be that you can write, in this as well, whatever they're using to start, to start this process. Some people, they may say request sent to let's say they could write request sent to HR. So maybe that's what they want to use to start the process. Some people do write that, but because I have, the screen, the drawing board is not running, I have enough, so I don't have to write. I personally don't usually write it there. I will write that, create a separate box for that activity. But if you write it in there, that does not mean that it's wrong, a different way of doing it. So now, because this is starting my process, and what I usually do is not a must, but, is because you're going to use the same shape for end, for the end, you could see that it's the same shape that you're using for your hand and your star. So what I usually do, I usually fill this, with green, green to say I'm starting is my, the start. So I can fill that with green. And when I'm doing the end, wherever the process end, I will use red to fill that box. You understand? So now, what we are saying is that, so because this is activity like task, so because the line manager is starting that process, all you just need to see is to drag it and drop it. Then you can easily align that later, you could easily align that. You could, and sometimes as well, depending on if you don't mess with this, it could actually show you the arrow as well that you use. It will point, you can easily see that. But let me just quickly do this. So you can see it has the same, it is aligned. What I can do, I can just use this, let me just a pointer. Where's my pointer? I hope I've not messed with this thing. So normally, okay, you could just say, but you should have, so that's straight. You can use that, and if you click it back, it will be back to, so now you can see my arrow is pointing here. You understand? My arrow is pointing here. So what I'm saying is that, okay, so I can say, what does the line manager do? Okay, we can say then. So when you are using this rectangular box, always make sure you start with a verb. Whatever you are writing in that rectangular box, always make sure is you start with a verb. So you can say send, let's say staff request, send staff request. We could even say request, request for a new starter or for a new staff, So maybe what happened here is that this particular, sorry, let me just, what happened here is that this particular line manager, we send this request to HR team, remember? So it will send to HR team. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I thought I would put in. Let me just put it on more. Sorry. Okay. So now maybe this particular HR manager is sending the request here. So I need to create another box here. But normally I think because I've actually tampered with the setting, because normally when you hover on this, when you hover on this, sorry. When you hover on the, sorry, let me just switch off this. It says, apologies. Okay, yeah. So apologies. So when you over on this, it should give you the arrow to do that. I know it can point to this side or maybe up there. So depending. But because I know I've done something here which I cannot start doing tonight. So, but you could easily just pick up the the shape, just pick this up, then use it to join it. So you just point it to where you want it to be. Then you just click on that back. It will back. So now, so now you could see here. So I'm saying I'm not sure if that is what I've typed there is tiny, because I think it's tiny at my side here. So well, I will try and let me increase that from, okay. So we are saying request for a new start, Then maybe the HR team will advertise, because whatever they are doing there is sort of like action, like a verb, like doing thing, like a action thing. Although when you are making a decision, you use the decision, but something like a rectangle, always start it with a verb. So maybe they will not advertise on maybe intranet. It could be they send it to maybe agency, but depending, I can say this, intranet, okay. Yeah, so maybe advertise on the internet. Then what will happen from here, we could say, the applicants, people will not advise. So what you do, you put your arrow. So that means from advertise is go to the applicants. The applicants will do what? The applicants will apply for job. Apply for job. Yeah, okay. And once the applicant apply for job, then maybe is either maybe the line manager will be the one to review that, to shortlist. So let's say the manager will shortlist. So I'm bringing another tax here. So all I do here, but when you get your license, you see that you will not need to use this arrow that I'm using. It will automatically, once you over on it, to give that option, then you can easily select the shape that you want. But I know I've changed the setting. I don't know what, I can't really pinpoint to it right now, but let's continue. Because that will save your time dragging, clicking on the arrow and, dragging it yourself. So now, so let's say shortlist candidates. So maybe after the shortlisting, then maybe the candidates will attend interview. So it's come here. So whoever is carrying out the task, so that's where the, the box will be. So now the candidate is attending the interview. So I would say attend interview. So then, once the candidates attend the interview, what happens after then? Then maybe the line manager will make a decision. So I will drag this again, come here. So that means the arrow is pointing back here. So then what you need, the candidates will, let's say, maybe make decision or something like that. Let's say this. Okay, attend interview. So I would say, does the applicant, so you can even just say, okay, what I would do, because I want to decide what I'm going to do next. I will delete that. So I want to use decision box, because I would say, does the applicant the arrow will still come here. Okay. So here, when you are using a decision box, it's more or less like a question. So, and anytime you use this, you will either have yes or no. You will either have yes or no. So you say, applicant successful. Applicant successful is a question. So if you say applicant successful, definitely it will be either yes or no. If the applicant is successful, then we can say, if it's yes, what will happen? It could be the HR team will contact the applicant. So that means I'll bring my arrow, it will point here. Always remember to have yes or no here. So what I will just do, I'll click on this. Once I click on this arrow, then I can tap on it, I can say yes. Just click on it and you type. You see, I have my yes. Then send offer letter. Send offer letter to applicants, to successful candidates. Let's say successful candidates. I'm not seeing what I'm typing, but because it's please make sure if you're using maybe font size 10, for everything, make sure it's uniform. But just because I just want you to see what I'm writing, so that's what I'm using. But always make sure it's a uniform one. If you're using 10 font size, make sure you are using 10 font size for all the, for all the things that you are typing in there, for all the boxes, please. So send offer letter to, so when they send offer letter, so because we are using the cross function, the basic flow chart, it doesn't really have anything like message, you understand? But if it's the BPMN, you can use this shape of, this message like a letter, to go to the applicant. But I'm not going to use that, but I just want to keep to date. So then I can say, my applicant will receive offer letter. So we receive offer letter. So where's my box? Always make sure your box has in and out, except the start and the end. You understand? You must not have a box that is just maybe in only or out only, or does not have, it should have either in out, it should be connected. That's what I'm just trying to say. So you should make sure all your boxes are connected. So then I'll say receive, or maybe accept. We can even say accept offer. That could be, that could even be the end, or we could even say, from there, once the acceptance is request or accepted, it comes down to the IT team. We have IT team here. Let me collapse this, IDs. We have IT team here. We can say this actually comes to IT team. So let's try to do that. IT team here, you can drag, yeah, okay. I want to, so we can now say, because the person has accepted, we can now say set up IT equipment. I can see set up IT equipment. And, you know, that could even be the end, you know, of that particular process. But remember, I'm still missing something. If you notice, I told you, okay, let me just, I can move it. You know, you can adjust the shape, move it, but because I actually, let me just fill that with red because I want to use that for my, then remember, it has to be connected. So I'm just going to connect it from here to here. So that means that shows the end of that process. But remember here, I still have my no. I need to show my no. If the applicant is not successful, what happens? Maybe they will just notify. So we will just say, no, our no should come from here. So let me just draw. Maybe no comes here. You can move the lines, although if you are not careful, you could spend ages trying to arrange the lines. So I could say here, so just use that, connect. Always make sure you have your yes and no whenever you use this decision box. So then I'll just click on it, then type my no. So when it's no, what will happen? It could be maybe the line manager that will notify, and maybe it's the line manager that will call you to say, oh, sorry, not, you know, whatever, you know, it's usually the, you know, the recruiting person that will do that. But let's put it for the line manager will do that. Then let's say phone, we can say call, let's say call or notify. Let me just use notify, it could be call. What am I typing? Okay, my caps is notify candidates or notify applicants, whatever. Notify applicants. Okay, so, and if they notify applicants, what happens here? So I'm going to move this to the side. I know you could see why I said definitely it's going to affect, but what I would do, I would try, you could just try to, you know, do this, then you can use it. But if you're not expert in it, you might not be able to move that, but just click on it. That means I want to shift that. Then I can just do drag, see. No, if I have grouped it, that will be at least, so yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So you could adjust this as well. You could adjust that. Okay. So, but when you see this borderline, that means it's over the page on one page. So, but there's a way you can adjust, trying to make sure all the things fit in A4. But if you are printing on let's say B3, you can select the paper size, you know, somewhere here as well you have where you could select the paper size, then that will help you to have a big page. So, but just for this, let me, because I don't like my line to be, you know, to have all these, what's it called? So what I can do, I can move this a bit to make sure my line is straight. Yes, I like my line to be straight. Yeah, so you can see straight. So now remember this one still needs to connect. So notify. So when notify, we can say it could be the person receive, you know, maybe receive. So I could reduce that depending, or I could even use the end. You know, you can have multiple ends as well. So I could even change this to end. I could even say, you know, write on it, use this end box. just use this. Because even if I don't use this, if I use the rectangle, I will still have to add end because that particular journey ends there. So it's either I just, turn this to red, I'll fill this to red with red, then I'll say, um, um, receive, receive feedback. What did I type on? Yeah, so receive feedback. So that means then I can link that here with this one. Draw it up. Yeah, okay. So yeah, so then we'll quickly review it. So that means that particular one. If not, you can have a rectangle box here saying receive feedback, then you now have this one on top, to show the end because it's not connecting to anything. Nothing is happening after that. So that's why it's stopping there. So if you now want to walk your stakeholder or you want to walk anybody through, you can say, let's just quickly recap it. So the line manager request for a new staff, send the request to HR. The HR advertise on intranet, then or internet, whatever it is. Definitely it's going to be internet. So except if they want, so it could be internet and intranet for the people inside as well. So let's say internet, and yeah, let's just say internet. Or job serve, depending on the job site. We can even say job site, but they will tell you the details anyway. When you are writing it, they will let you know where they usually post the adverts. They will tell you, they will let you know whether the agency that they usually send it to. So when that is posted, the job is being posted on the internet, the applicants apply for a job. What happens after then? The line manager shortlists the candidates. Then definitely it's going to be more than one candidate. So then this person applicants attend the interview. Then the manager decide who is successful. If the person is successful, the HR team will send offer letter to successful or email, to successful candidates. Then the applicants accept offer. What happens after that? Then maybe IT team will get a notification to set up their IT requirements, IT equipment. Then that ends the process. So which is because it's just for recruitment. And if the applicant is unsuccessful, which is our no, they will notify the applicant, then the applicant receives the feedback. So which ends the process there because their journey ends there. So that's just a simple process. And there are some processes that you may have maybe like six swim lanes. So we call this swim lane, it's like a swimming pool. So they call this pool, so these are lanes, they call it pool as well, These are, each of your lane, you have your swim lane. So that's why it's called swim lane, because it's like a swimming, swimming pool. So you have lane, 1 lane, 2 lanes, 3 lanes. So you could have 6 lanes, you could have 6 lanes in the pool, but you use this to map your process. If you have more than, one person doing the job and you want to really differentiate who is doing what, so you could easily adjust. And, you could even say, if you have, let's say you have, you could say you want to different colors, for the decision. You could put this in, green, fill it with green, to just beautify, but that does not really, it depends on you, it depends, but it has to be visible. They need to be able to read whatever you're writing in. And you could say, oh, this blue one, or the rectangle, you want shapes, you want to fill it with, green. Depending, you could make it colorful. It all depends. You could make it colorful. There's no rule, except they say, oh, no color on your swim lane. Then, but what you have to make sure you are consistent with whatever you do. Except maybe you want to do for all the line manager activities rectangle, you want it to be green, and you want all the applicant stuff to be blue, and you want you could, but just make sure you are consistent with whatever you are doing. Just make sure you are consistent with it. That's the what is most important thing. So that's a simple process. And always remember, whenever you use your decision box to decide something, oh, does it pass? Is it the, depending on you are trying to decide, decide on something, asking a question, always use a gateway, this diamond shape, and always remember to use your yes, because I know a lot of people do make mistake, when they do use the decision, sometimes they do forget, to either do the other part. They could do the no and just forget about the yes. Always make sure that whenever you use this decision box, you have yes or and no. You have both yes and no. And also whenever you are writing, using the rectangle, always start with a verb. As said, notify, send, shortlist, advertise, request. Always make sure you start with that. And yes, and that is it. So any question? Any question? That's all we have for, and I know this is the last section as well. And remember, when you map this, always send it to your stakeholder to review, to ensure that you've captured everything and you represent the process. So you could see that this is the sequence of how the activities of the recruitment process is being carried out. So it shows the step by step and the sequence of the activities. So that's why we say the business process, it shows the sequence of tasks or activities, for that is being carried out. So you could see how it's followed. And, definitely if you now send this to your stakeholder and they review it, they review this and they maybe give you a feedback, they comment on it, and they may ask you to adjust something. When you are not adjusting it, this one will be 0.2. It could be on a different day. Then you could now change the date here, maybe August 5th, then you change it to version 0.2. Until when they're happy with it, then, and they say, oh, yes, I'm happy with it. Then you cannot change the one that they said they're happy with, which if it's version 0.5, then you cannot change that when you are saving that to as your version 1.0. That's the approved version is always like the old digits, either 1.0 or maybe 2.0 if they approve it twice, or 3.0. So that's it. Then yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Any question before? Question. So I'm just going to. Yeah, the review feedback. Why is the review feedback not connected to applicant? Is it not connected to the applicant? Receive feedback is on the applicant's lane. The receive feedback is on because it's the applicant that is actually receiving it. So is on the applicant, is received. So it's on the applicant's lane. Is the applicant that is actually receiving it. So this is the person that is notifying, and his pointing is going to the applicant, and the applicant receive it. Yeah. Okay. No, this diagram, you can do it in, although it's not easy to do on PowerPoint or Microsoft Word, to be honest, because you have to be using, although you have all those circle, but that is not like that is not a process application. You understand? So it's better you use it. You use Microsoft Visio, and to be honest, like I said, it's less than £10 for the license. So just use Microsoft, because if you are using PowerPoint, it will take you a long time, and it will be time consuming, and you may not really, it won't flow well. And most definitely, I would say most corporate organization will have Microsoft. They will get the Visio license, for you as a BA. So they will be the one that will get it for you. So definitely, you have nothing to lose. Just learn it. And like I said, in a day, in less than 1 hour, you can do it. You just need to practice it. So can these be done on Microsoft's yes, like I said, it's no don't do it on Microsoft PowerPoint or Microsoft, or don't just use Visio. That's the best tool that I would advise you to. I think you can also, yeah, you can use Draw.io, but it's just that most organization, they actually use my Visio. You understand? So you have a lot of you can even use Lucid Chat as well. You have a lot of applications out there you can use to map your process. So Draw.io, Lucid Chat, all sorts of applications are out there. But like the common one that you say, maybe standard, we like to say standard, but most corporate organizations are definitely, they will get the license from Microsoft for you, because a lot of most organizations usually use Microsoft anyway. So I think they usually have them, like all the places that I've worked, we usually use Microsoft. I've never they will, because they use Microsoft products anyway, they will just get a Microsoft Visio license for her. So that's why I would recommend just buy your Visio, just get your Visio license as well. That's if yes, you can buy it for personal use. Once you just install you install it, it's just one license. I mean, per PC, and it's less than £10. So you can get it. You can get that. So, but in the organization, when you get to work, definitely they will be the one to get it for you. So on eBay, you can just, type it there, MS Visio license. It will give you the updated one. Maybe it's 2020. Yes, it will give you, yeah. Will it work on MacBook? I don't know. I don't use MacBook. I don't really know, but you can try it. You can try it. So the Microsoft license, you can get that on eBay. You can even visit their website as well, but I know you can get that on eBay as well, and it will work. They will just send you the code and you download it, and yeah. Any other question? Yes, going. If there's no other question in another 1 minute, then we can end the session. So, and I'm sure for those that are actually registered for the internship, the admin will contact you with the details of what you're going to do. So, and hello. Okay, I thought somebody was. So, and then, but you can refer back to all the the videos on Blue Sky Citadel, the one I've done in the past. Yes, so you can refer back to it and watch, because this is just an introduction. So, but 2 years ago, last year, at least we had about 6 classes, I think, for similar sessions. So, and which is very detailed, so I would advise you to just go and watch all those videos. Is user customer journey similar to, yeah, because they may just say want to see the customer, they're still referring to the same thing. They're still referring to the same thing. So they may say user journey, or for the recruitment process. Yeah, so they just want to know how the user will be able to use the system, or maybe how the user is, to carry out a particular task. So how is the to be? Yeah, so the to be depend on so let's say that's their C's, because, but I'm not mapping to the to be. The to be is, it could be something is going to change, maybe the way they, so let's say if you want to do the to be, we can, let me minimize this. So if I want to say to the to be could be, maybe, because I've worked on a recruitment system before whereby, this particular tax, we just feed it to different job sites. it will just feed to different, will broadcast to different job sites. And even here, it could be that it could be we have, where we say shortlist candidates, then maybe they will receive an email to say they should book for, maybe they should select their interview slots. The line manager would have put some dates in there and time, and definitely, and somebody and the candidates will just select. So that could be the to be. There could be some functionalities that they want to add, they want to have in the new system, and yeah. And so it could be definitely the to be will be different. And because if nothing is changing, then why are they spending money on the project? So definitely they either need something, that's why, or they have a problem that they want to resolve, or they want to eradicate, maybe manual effort. It could be maybe that's why they want a new system. So definitely yours to be should be different. So will there be another session or another class? No, this is the last class because it's just introduction, not actually introduction to the BA. But for those people that will enroll in internship, definitely they will be having, practical section and all those things. But for those that are not enrolling for internship, I will advise on the Blue Sky Citadel channel, you will see the videos of the full course that I've done in the past, maybe like 2 years ago or last year. If you can watch that all over, to be honest, that's sufficient for you. I would say all you just need to make sure you can, apply that in your workplace. Do you require SQL knowledge as a BA? No, you don't. You don't need SQL knowledge, no. Except if you want to be good, you want to be doing maybe a different role. Yeah, but you don't need SQL knowledge as a BA. So if you listen to the last session that we had, I actually said, you don't actually need any IT knowledge, to be a BA, as long as you can read, you can write, and yes, that should do the job. Yeah, and you get the skills, you have the skills. Yeah, definitely that will do the job. Any other question? Okay, it seems we're all okay and fine. Yeah, so I wish you best of luck. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your nights. Yeah, have a good night. Thank you. Yeah, bye.